I shouldn't have come on this trip. That's all I can think as I stare at the massive footprint in the mud outside our cabin. It's easily twice the size of my boot, with 5 distinct toe impressions. The early morning mist swirls around my ankles as I crouch down for a closer look. Mike, get your ass back inside. I turn to see Dave leaning out the cabin door, his face pale in the weak dawn light. You trying to get yourself killed? I stand up slowly, my bad knee protesting. Relax, Dave. Whatever made these tracks is long gone. But even as I say it, I can feel eyes on me, watching from the dense forest that surrounds our little clearing. I hurry back inside, locking the door behind me. My name is Mike Holloway. I'm 38 years old, divorced, and I work construction in Portland. At least I did, until I threw out my back last month. Now I'm living off workers' comp and trying not to think about how I'm going to make next month's child support payment. I grab a cup of coffee and join the others at the rickety kitchen table. Dave, Tom, and Chris are huddled together, speaking in low, urgent tones. They fall silent as I sit down. So, I say, trying to keep my voice casual. Anyone want to talk about the footprints? Chris, always the joker of the group, forces a laugh. Come on, Mike. It's probably just some punk kids trying to scare us. You know, Bigfoot hoaxers or something. I take a sip of my coffee, grimacing at the bitter taste. Those weren't fake, Chris. And they sure as hell weren't made by kids. Well, what do you think it was then? Tom asks, his eyes narrowing. A grizzly? I shake my head. Grizzlies don't have feet like that, and they don't walk on 2 legs. Jesus, Mike, Dave snaps. Don't tell me you actually believe in that Bigfoot bullshit. I feel a flare of anger, but I tamp it down. Dave's always been an asshole, even back in high school. I'm just telling you what I saw. Those prints were fresh, and they circled the entire cabin. Whatever made them, it was checking us out. A heavy silence falls over the group. I can see the fear in their eyes, even as they try to hide it. We're all thinking the same thing, but no one wants to say it out loud. Look, Chris says finally. We came here to hunt, right? So let's hunt. Maybe we'll find some normal tracks out there and put this whole thing to rest. The others nod, eager for any excuse to pretend everything's normal. We gear up and head out into the misty forest, our breaths puffing out in white clouds. As we move deeper into the woods, an uneasy feeling settles in my gut. The forest is too quiet, no birds singing, no squirrels chattering, just the soft crunch of our boots on fallen leaves. We split up to cover more ground, agreeing to meet back at the cabin in a few hours. I head north, my rifle held ready. Every snapping twig, every rustle of leaves sets my nerves on edge. After about an hour, I come across a small clearing. What I see there stops me cold. A deer carcass lies in the center of the clearing, torn apart as if by some massive predator. But it's the way the pieces are arranged that chills my blood. This isn't the work of any animal. This is a message. I back away slowly, my heart pounding. As I turn to run, I catch a glimpse of movement in the trees. Something large, moving with surprising grace for its size. I don't stick around to get a better look. I sprint back towards the cabin, branches whipping at my face. I burst into the clearing, gasping for breath. The others are already there, their faces grim. Did you see it? Tom asks, his voice shaking. I nod, trying to catch my breath. The deer? Yeah, I saw it. Not the deer, Chris says. The symbols. He holds out his phone, showing me a photo. It's a tree trunk with strange, angular symbols carved deep into the bark. They look almost like letters, but in no alphabet I've ever seen. They're all over the forest, Dave says. Hundreds of them. And they're fresh, Mike. Whatever did this, it did it while we were out there. A chill runs down my spine. We need to get out of here. Now. But as we start to pack up our gear, a low, mournful howl echoes through the trees. It starts as something almost human, then shifts into a sound I've never heard before. Ancient and alien and terrifying. We freeze, staring at each other in horror. Then we hear heavy footsteps, moving fast through the underbrush, coming straight for us. We slam the cabin door shut, piling furniture against it. The windows are already boarded up, a precaution against bears that now seems laughably inadequate. Night falls quickly, plunging us into darkness. We huddle in the main room, jumping at every sound. Hours pass in tense silence. Then we hear it. A low, rhythmic breathing just outside the cabin walls. Slow, heavy footsteps circling us, long claws scratching at the wood. "It's trying to get in," Chris whispers, his face pale in the dim lantern light. But that's not what scares me the most. It's the other sounds, the ones that are almost, but not quite human. Whispered words in a language I don't understand. The crack of branches being snapped with terrifying ease. And then, the voices start. Our voices. Help me. I hear myself scream from somewhere in the forest. "Oh God, it's got me." Tom whimpers, curling into a ball. "It's not real," he mutters. "It's not real." But the voices continue, using our own worst fears against us. I hear my ex-wife, my daughter, begging for help. The others hear their loved ones too, judging by the looks of anguish on their faces. As the night wears on, the psychological torture takes its toll. Dave starts ranting about government conspiracies. Chris rocks back and forth, mumbling incoherently. Tom just stares blankly at the wall. I try to hold it together, to be the voice of reason, but with each passing hour I feel my grasp on reality slipping. The walls seem to pulse and breathe. The shadows move when I'm not looking directly at them. Just before dawn, everything goes quiet. The voices stop. The scratching stops. We wait in terrified silence, hardly daring to breathe. Suddenly, there's a tremendous crash as something huge slams against the door. The barricade holds, but barely. We can hear the wood splintering. "It's now or never," I shout, grabbing my rifle. We have to make a run for it. We burst out of the cabin, sprinting for the trucks. I hear a roar behind us, feel the ground shake as something massive gives chase. I dive into the driver's seat of my pickup, fumbling with the keys. The engine roars to life just as I see it emerge from the trees in my rearview mirror. It's huge, at least 8 feet tall, covered in shaggy dark fur. But it's the eyes that freeze my blood, intelligent, almost human, filled with the predatory hunger that makes my skin crawl. I slam on the gas, tires spinning in the mud before finally catching. We tear down the dirt road, the trees a blur on either side. I can hear the others' vehicles behind me, engines roaring as we flee. But the creature isn't giving up. I can see it in my mirror, running on 2 legs with impossible speed, quickly closing the gap between us. "Come on," I mutter, pushing the old truck to its limits. The engine whines in protest as we hit the main road, tires screeching as I take the turn too fast. Suddenly, there's a sickening crunch of metal behind me. In the mirror, I see Tom's car flipping end over end, a dark shape clinging to its roof. The vehicle crashes into the trees, disappearing from view in a shower of glass and twisted metal. Before I can process what just happened, Something massive slams into the side of my truck. The world spins as we roll off the road, the sound of crunching metal and breaking glass filling my ears. When the movement stops, I'm hanging upside down, held in place by my seatbelt. Through the shattered windshield, I see Dave's truck careening off the road, smoke pouring from under the hood. It plows into a tree with a deafening crash. I struggle to free myself, my fingers fumbling with the seatbelt clasp. Blood drips into my eyes. That's when I hear it, heavy breathing and the crunch of footsteps on broken glass. A massive, fur-covered arm reaches through the broken driver's side window. I scream as I'm yanked from the wreckage, my shoulder dislocating with a sickening pop. The creature holds me up to its face, and I stare into those terrifyingly intelligent eyes. It opens its mouth, revealing rows of yellowed fangs, and I catch a whiff of its hot, rancid breath. Please, I whimper, all thoughts of bravery long gone. Please don't. Its jaws clamp down on my head, and the world explodes into pain. The last thing I hear is the wet crunch of my own skull giving way. In the days that follow, search parties comb the forests of rural Oregon. They find the wreckage of our vehicles, twisted and burnt. They find blood, so much blood but no bodies. Just massive, unexplainable footprints and strange symbols carved into the trees. The official report calls it a tragic accident. A group of friends, drinking while hunting, drove off the road in the middle of the night. The bodies, they say, were likely dragged off by animals. But late at night, in the bars and cafes of small towns throughout the Pacific Northwest, people whisper other theories. They talk about the sounds they hear in the forests at night, the howls that are almost human, but not quite. They talk about the footprints found outside rural homes, and about the people who go missing without a trace. And deep in the forests of Oregon, something ancient and hungry continues its eternal hunt, always watching, always waiting for the next group of unsuspecting prey to venture into its domain.